Yeah, this one's new?
That looks new.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good?
Keep buying stuff.
Let me get a lobster sandwich. It's nice. I mean, this is like Coke.
It's fabulous.
Wonderful. It's terrible. Okay, so we are joined, obviously. Music got super loud. You know why? I made a mistake. I went downstairs and told them I really like this playlist on Spotify or whatever it is, and they were probably like, "Oh, let me just jack it up a little bit more."
There you go.
That was my fault. I shouldn't have told them that.
Probably not.
It probably wasn't my fault.
It probably wasn't your fault, but I'll blame you. Charlie DeFrancesco. Is that right?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it's right.
You just don't look like a DeFrancesco. It just sounds like a pasta sauce.
That's what I
It's
am.
more like a
I'm a
cone.
big pasta sauce.
He looks like Panetta, like Charlie Panetta.
I think more like cone.
Colin.
Colin.
No, he doesn't look like a con. Steve, what's your last name?
Sarno.
Sarnar?
Sarno.
Sarno? You sure?
Really?
You
DeGeneres?
look more like a DeFrancesco.
Maybe I'm Sarno. Maybe
And this
I'm
is Steve Sarno. Steve works with Charlie at the Arena, which is this all-encompassing fitness, health, wellness place in White Plains, which they are in the middle of reconstructing if permits went through. Still not, that's cool.
We're operating anyway.
Yep,
We decided.
I'm just gonna do it
Just gonna
anyway.
do it.
Let me just be honest, let me tell you guys something. I went and got recertified as a personal trainer, and I sat down at the Arena with these guys, and with Charlie, where they're really making the music loud now. And Steve walks in, and I asked him some like random question about whatever it was. I don't even know. Yeah, sliding filament, which I don't even understand that question now. And like 3 hours later, Steve walks away, and like my jaw dropped. And I was like, "Are you like a doctor, like a Harvard-educated scientist, physicist type person?" And he's like, "Nope, I just like the stuff." Like I never met anyone who knows so much about this space and who's only doing exactly what he loves to do. And when Charlie says stuff like, "I only bring people into the Arena or into his gym that are a cut above other trainers or other fitness professionals," this is what he means by it. Not to mention the fact that he's beautiful. So are you, don't worry. But like, look at that face.
I'm okay with it.
Thank you very much.
So explain to me what Steve's role is with you
He's
guys.
just for decoration.
He's for
Sidekick.
decorations.
I need a sidekick. So I'm
Sidekicks.
Steve's actually my business partner. He came into the business. He bought it about 2 years ago. And you've been there 5 years.
2011.
So he started out as a trainer, strength and conditioning specialist, and then he went and got his massage license. And I saw value in Steve, and I wanted him to be a partner because I don't want him to go anywhere. Because as you can tell, he's very intelligent. As much as I pick on him, that's he's a very integral part of our team. And
I say the same sentence about Lance. As much as I pick on him, he's an integral part of my team.
What?
yeah, I made him a partner so he can't leave.
Right.
Use him, so he just can't leave.
Made Lance a partner.
See that?
Yep. Although he has the iPhones.
But Steve, tell him about yourself. Tell him how awesome you are.
So you're a massage therapist and a trainer and a
Trainer, really working on my ART, active release techniques.
what is that? What's ART?
Different type of massage modality, manual therapy modality. Really combines active range of motion, shortening the muscle to its maximum potential, and then lengthening it with contact. Really the gold standard of manual therapy in this day and age right now.
What does that mean? Why would someone do that? What does that do?
We're talking about lengthening tissue, right? Not just stretching it, but using manual compression and the heat from my hand to lengthen the tissue so we can change the original and new length of
What happens if you don't do that? What happens to your body if you
shorten
never?
it down, right? We kyphotic, we internally rotate the shoulders, we're sitting all day, our hip flexors shorten down, our hamstrings become overstretched and tight, right? So all these places need active release, they need massage, they need soft tissue treatment, right? And it's a matter of how we combine that treatment to gain the results that we want.
For someone that doesn't have access to you or a massage all the time, are there other ways that people should be treating their bodies or doing with their bodies to have similar effects?
Yeah, absolutely. There's all different types of mild fascial growth, right? We call it using the peanut, which is two softballs duct taped together.
Sorry, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what you were using. We usually don't talk about using that on this show. We don't want to use
That kind
that.
of show today.
No, we're not allowed to, just because that's Jenna's team.
It's a different team, but it's okay. You want to use the peanut, you can use the peanut.
So the peanut, right? It's designed two softballs with a space in the middle, the spinous process of the vertebrae, and we can roll the paraspinals up and down the back, and we can do all different types of soft tissue work, right? To the scapula to help mobilize the scapula. We can also do soft tissue work.
So basically, it's like you're rolling on something.
Exactly.
It's like using a foam roller, but
Yeah.
using something harder, like
Exactly.
like a softball or
Right.
a lacrosse ball. We usually start people out with a tennis ball so they can get used to it because it can be painful.
Yeah.
And then we graduate them to harder, larger surfaces.
No, and what I think what Steve was saying is there's so much truth to it. We sit behind a desk all day. We're hunched over. When we're not doing that, we're hunched over this way or this way, or we're sitting in front of the TV this way, and a lot of it without proper stretching and
Sorry for interrupting.
yeah.
John wants to know, he's having a problem with his shoulder?
You're joking, right? I was literally in the middle of a sentence.
You
and
said
then I
that
was going to
when-
say, I'm sorry, my house is on fire. John's got a shoulder problem. Literally in the middle of complimenting Steve.
John has a shoulder problem.
Jealous.
I cannot.
What's wrong with John's shoulder?
He's having a problem
You
from
tell him. When I was complimenting the arena, you tell him. Okay, go on. Let's hear about John's shoulder. And what happened to it? Did he fall on it or something?
I don't know, he has a boo-boo.
Tell him the problem.
John, what's your boo-boo? He has a
Now let me-
joint from lifting.
A joint from lifting.
Right,
What was
I
he
don't know if
lifting?
it's
What
like-
was the mechanism? How did he get injured? What was he doing?
Bench press,
What does
shoulder
it hurt?
press.
Where does it hurt?
I was in the middle of a
What
whole
motion does
thing.
it hurt doing when
This
you're
is
doing?
much better.
I'm sorry, you told me to interrupt when the people have questions.
But what was the question?
He says he was writing a whole thing. I'm trying to watch it. Shoulder problem from overhead shoulder presses.
Okay. Are you feeling pain underneath this bone that we call the acromion?
The joint.
But there's multiple aspects to the joint.
In the
Does
front.
it hurt when we lift up past 90 degrees? Is it the AC joint? Right? Is it the pec? Is it the front of the shoulder? Is it the side of the shoulder?
What did
Is
I
it the
tell you
back
about
of the
him?
shoulder?
What did I tell you? Knows everything.
Yes, the AC joint.
The AC joint. Okay.
Why didn't you say that at the beginning, John?
John, just be specific.
Come on,
So-
like, how are you already interrupting Jen and getting her angry at
AC
me?
joint, right? The AC joint, most of the time, problems persist with it with direct compression, right? When we fall on it. If you're having impingement issues with overhead work, most of the time the supraspinatus is going to be impinged underneath. You need soft tissue work to the supraspinatus. Does that sound somewhat like? Does it feel like there's clicking underneath or impinging underneath when you go over?
John is saying yes.
So exactly.
Why are you not a doctor, dude? This is
Does he do
amazing.
shrugs?
No.
I want to know if he does shrugs. That's the first thing we need to know.
Nah, it's definitely feel
Clicking.
clicking.
No, he's doing like shrugs.
Yes, shrugs.
That's the first
Okay, so shrugging, get it out.
That's-
If you
that's-
go overhead and it hurts, right? We need to mobilize part of the rotator cuff, right? Specifically the supraspinatus, right? If you don't mobilize it properly, it's going to impinge underneath what we call the subacromium bursa. That's going to give us that pinching feeling. Now, what you need to do is you need to mobilize the supraspinatus, then you need to strengthen the subscap. The subscapularis is strengthened with depression and medial rotation. Doing so is going to help to stabilize the glenohumeral joint in depression.
He's saying it's more
and
near
avoid
the
that
pec,
depression.
the shoulder more in front corner.
The front corner of the shoulder?
Yeah.
Like, you want to take a barbell, you're going to
top,
lift it up,
front.
put it down.
You know, it's really it's difficult to
complicated.
kind of
Yeah.
pinpoint this
Anyway,
without
thank you for
seeing
joining
it.
us, John.
I really need to see it and need to move.
John, do you have any
move, see
pimples
how
that
you
need to be
move.
removed?
Listen, what's the bottom line? The bottom line is it's complicated. Everyone's little issues are complicated. You clearly know, without even looking at someone's body, know
Some idea of
what's going on. Because a lot of these problems come from people working out incorrectly, working out poorly. The same things you guys probably walk into another gym and see guys do wrong. Give me 3 things that you watch guys do all the time, women, that are absolutely should not be doing. Common workout lifts or whatever.
Do you need me to interrupt you first?
Upright.
No,
upright
don't interrupt me.
rows.
This is a good topic. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have something before
No, I
they
was
start
just
their
kidding.
answer?
My opinion, the worst 3 exercises: upright rows,
Show them. Upright rows.
upright rows,
Can you grab them?
behind the neck presses, and behind the neck pull downs. 3 worst, in my opinion. There's a long list of bad exercises, but I'll leave a couple for Steve.
I'm gonna say a forward raise with the hand and palm facing the floor.
Now these are bad exercises.
Bad exercises. Wait, why?
Forward raise because we internally rotate the shoulder, and again we're increasing the risk of impingement in the shoulder. You're gonna do a forward raise or an upright raise, right? We need the palm to be neutral and out to the side. It's going to then put the supraspinatus into the position and the rotator cuff into the position to minimize impingement probability.
So if someone said I want to do frontal raises, do you consider that a frontal raise, or you just say you don't need to work the front part?
We can do a front raise.
So you're at a
45 degree angle. Exactly, puts the shoulder in a more stable place.
Wow.
Right, and the rotator cuffs are stable.
What about weight? Like how much weight would you max? Less weight, right?
Right, it's all about keeping the shoulders depressed, right, and coming up, not coming up with the shrug.
Big difference between a 45 degree frontal raise and then a lateral raise. I mean, you really it's not going to be that much of a difference. You still do
Lateral raise
both.
would be more out to the side.
Yeah,
Right.
I still would do that with thumbs up too.
We do the thumbs up.
Right out to the side, you're going to get different scapular stabilization. To the front, right, you're going to get inferior ankle scapular stabilization as well. So most people, when they do it here, they'll feel it here. You do it properly, you also feel it at the bottom of your scapula, holding it down.
Okay. I do this exercise. We're all low weights, obviously, like 5s, or 3s or 5s. But now I can probably do 5s. When I don't do it anymore, frontal and then complete side and then 1 and then 1, and I'll do like 10. Yeah. Sometimes sometimes.
Shoulder seconds.
Right, but I shouldn't do them anymore. But is it my point is to do a frontal that's 45 degrees and then also do a lateral, or is it basically the same thing?
Well, you're changing the
Okay.
tension on it, and then you can do rear. Rear
Right, to
flex.
give you real fast. All right, give me 2 more exercises that you hate when you see people do at the gym.
Eccentric hip flexion.
Yeah.
You ever see friends, 2 people working out together, one person's laying on the ground and their feet are straight up in the air, the other person's standing there over them, they're holding their ankles and they're pushing their legs down.
Yeah.
Right, so what that's doing is eccentrically loading your psoas. Right, and if you're eccentrically loading your psoas, what it's going to do is it's going to pull the vertebrae up as you go down because most people aren't going to stabilize properly. So if you eccentrically load the psoas, right, what position are we in right now? We're in hip flexion. We're actually shortening our psoas. Eccentrically load it, right? You're going to increase the tension of the psoas, and then you're going to go sit down in your car and drive home.
And that back pain, because the psoas originates on the spine. Most people, the psoas is the main hip flexor.
Basically, we need a translator for Steve into like dummy English for like the rest of us. That's really good to know. And I think a lot of people walk around and say, "Well, I have back pain. My back must hurt. It must be something I pulled in my back." But it doesn't necessarily have to
Almost
be.
always the hips.
So that's really good to know.
I would say 9 times out of 10.
Most of the time, hips,
Unless it's a trauma.
Yeah.
right? Hip flexors, glutes,
What's another one we don't like? I got a list of them.
I know.
Well, you see people deadlifting all the time, and most of the time their form isn't correct, or you're benching and your elbows are flared all the way out, and your shoulders are shrugged as you're benching.
Right.
Right. So those are all just common mistakes.
What about an overhead press? You always see guys at the gym putting a ton of weight over their head.
Yeah. If you're gonna overhead press, it's best to stand. Right, because if you sit, you're going to take your legs out of the equation, and you're going to load the vertebrae to direct load on the vertebrae, and it's going to take that load exponentially higher. Right, think about the weight over your head plus your body. Now you're sitting, not distributing weight, and it's going to just completely overload the disc between the joints.
If you guys have any injuries at all, nagging pains, if you have workout questions, diet, fitness, and otherwise, I'm telling you, this is the time to ask. I can answer as much as I can, but these guys know like exponentially more than I do, including Connor, who I know you have a million questions because you were desperate and you actually asked me a question. I know, right? In 5 minutes with you. Imagine spending the whole time with them.
Let me explain a little bit about shoulder, because like I had a question about his AC joint. It's not really one thing, it's repetitive stress. Over and over, you're doing shrugs, upright rows, you're doing side raises on the machine. These things repetitively stress the joint in an unnatural way, cause stress to the tissue, and then you have inflammation, Now, in the shoulder, there's not a lot of joint space for the tendons and the tissue to run through as it is. If you inflame those tissues, they're going to be impinged by the bone, and then they're going to get frayed. I had surgery on mine. I had mine from heavy bench pressing. I used to do a lot of behind the neck presses. So that caused mine. I also fell at work, so that was kind of the straw that broke.
He's like, also a car ran over me, but it's really mainly from the overhead presses.
It was
car
car
crash.
We're not going to talk about that on the air. And I'm right, it was my left shoulder. So I see even trainers still doing upright rows, still doing the exercises. Shrugs are one of the worst exercises ever. And I even see Olympic lifters.
What is a shrug?
Shrug is just having the bar and going straight up and down. Elevation causes impingement. So if you can't depress your scapula, you're going to cause impingement.
DeFrancesco is very funny.
Why?
He wants to know if I'm working out today.
By today, do you mean any day?
Yeah, I did work out with.
Lance is so jacked he doesn't need to work out.
Seriously,
He can't even fit here.
can you work out or you can't? Not so much.
He's a beast. I had to clear the gym out when he was had cut his sleeves off.
You cut your. I love it. I love it. We should all work
He
out.
was there.
What else is DeFrancesco saying?
DeFrancesco doesn't have any more. John's quiet. DeFrancesco says I work out my mouth arguing with you.
I know. Who has the Facebook one? You're on Periscope?
Yeah.
No comments.
Okay, good. So I love the fact that you know all this stuff and still feel like where I think people can get a lot of help is rest day, is massage, is stretching, and I think that's some of the things people blow off, and that's the first thing they blow off.
Absolutely.
Why do they do it, and how important is it, and what should people really be doing as far as the rest and taking care of your body when you're not lifting?
Self-care, right? It speaks for itself. Basically, on your off days, it's not just you sitting there and eating all your macros to get your nutrients in, right? Obviously, diet is going to be 80% of our results that we get in the gym, right? You can put two people together and have them lift exactly the same. The two differences that they're going to have are genetic limitations and their diet, right? One is genetically limited to putting on size. They can eat whatever they want, they can work out however they want, and their body's going to respond differently to people that are genetically not prone to putting on size, and they're going to have to work that much harder, right? So off days and self-care is going to consist of myofascial release, right? Foam rolling, breaking up that scar tissue so that you can move and the muscles can move independently and they're not stuck together, and also just general stretching. Right?
Nobody stretches.
Nobody stretches, right?
How do you stretch on off days? You guys don't like static stretching, obviously.
Oh, static is fine as long as it's after activity.
What I'm saying, so it's like, give me an example. If you're not working out, it's an off day. What kind
You
of?
just do a static stretch. You just want to warm up first with an active stretch.
So give people an example.
I have an example for you. My interpretation of stretching should not be you sitting down for 25 minutes at the beginning of your day and stretching. It should be you taking 10 to 15 seconds, 10 to 20 times a day, and stretching that tissue.
Example. Show me a tissue that you can stretch.
Your chest is tight. So instead of you doing 20 minutes of a chest stretch, where your body's going to respond,
Like you can sit in your chair,
right?
and I'm stretching my pec.
Oh,
right
okay.
there.
So your body's going to respond immediately, but then eventually it's going to come back to its original position, right? And that's the nervous system telling you, okay, that was nice, and now let's go back to what we know.
Okay.
So what you do by stretching frequently through the day is you trick the nervous system to say, this is the position that we need to be in.
Oh, interesting.
Right? It's similar to people that sit all day. This is the position their hips feel most comfortable in because this is what they're always in.
Right.
So that's how the body adjusts. And then when they stand up, they feel like they're crunched down and they can't stand up straight because the body's not used to this position.
Right.
So by retraining the nervous system, you can do the same thing. Stretching, lifting weights, right? It's all about central nervous system. Not even the muscles. It's adaptation.
Darren DeFrancesco is asking for a lower back stretch. Lower back stretch.
Lower back stretch, the easiest one is just bringing the leg up and over while lying flat on the ground. That's going to help get the entire glute. If you feel it in your glute and hamstring, that means that your glute and hamstring need to open up before you can get to the lower back.
This is actually when I worked out. I'd never heard this word glute before. I didn't know what a
Really?
glute was. Yeah. Joel, you can laugh, man.
Look, You don't know what anything was.
Lance, how do you? I'm just curious how someone like you and someone like Charlie's paths would have crossed. You guys just don't strike me as the type that, like, the two of you are at a throwing weights
have a
around
common
at a gym one day.
Lance was spotting me during my power. That's
Yeah.
it.
550 on the bench. Lance was behind him like,
Come on! Lance is probably like this. You're good.
I made him come in because I needed to show him what we do, because no one really understands the difference between what we do and most other trainers. That's our biggest challenge. You know, they think the trainer at New York Sports Club is the same as the trainer at Equinox or Lifetime or another gym. There's a very big difference between how every company hires their trainers, how the trainers are vetted out. We have a very, very strict vetting process, probably the toughest in the industry.
Why?
Very hard for us to hire trainers.
Why is that?
I have to have high-level trainers. I can't have idiots. And I hate to say it, 80% of the industry don't even belong in the parking lot of the gym, let alone inside training people. It's absolutely ridiculous. The things I have seen, I can't even, half of them I can't tell you because it's confidential, and as you know, I do expert witness work. And doing the expert witness work has opened my eyes to how terrible the industry is and how at fault the employers are as well. And it doesn't start with the trainer, it starts with the employer. And if I hire bad trainers based on who's the best salesman, I'm just as guilty when that person gets injured. I've had clients that have had strokes, broken necks, paralyzed from trainers. Most of my clients come.
Those are not clients that you were training. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure.
and those are not our.
Those are not my clients.
But what you said was, I've had clients.
I've had clients that were hurt by other trainers. So
That's why I wanted to
the
be
majority of clients I have were actually injured by other trainers in some way, shape, or form. And I've had, injuries
Before they became clients.
Before they became clients. That's how they found me, because they needed to exercise, but they were afraid because they were hurt. And the sad part is most of these people go to the gym thinking, hey, I'm going to hire a trainer because I don't know what I'm doing. All they're doing is hiring somebody that knows less than they do, so it's the blind leading the blind. And then you have all kinds of injuries. And I've seen people get hurt and change their lives. I mean, I have one client, he lost his job, he got addicted to painkillers, he lost his life. Like, he's almost back to normal now, but he'll never be able to do the same. Steve knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. The guy was a normal, everyday, stand-up guy. Trainer broke his neck from doing squats on a Smith machine with the bar on his neck. And he didn't know any better. He shouldn't know any better, he's not a trainer.
Right.
And these are the things that happen. People are getting injured. There's no regulation in the industry. Most of the trainers in even the biggest gyms, they're not even certified. And the truth is, even the ones that were certified, they don't really know what they're doing. Even the guys with the degrees and everything, a lot of people are attracted to fitness because they think, oh, it's easy money. I can tell people how to work out and get paid $100, $200 an hour. And it doesn't work that way. If you're doing it for the money, people are going to see through that.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be good. If a bad trainer came into my gym, they would stand out like a sore thumb. And I could give you an example, and Steve will tell you the same. There's a gym down the street from me called Strata that went out. The guy sold out. I bought out his business, his trainers, his everything.
Right under the bar.
Right? Now it's another gym, which the trainers are probably even worse there now. I had 5 of their trainers come in. 2 of them have stayed. They were embarrassing. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how bad these trainers were. It was absolutely
So this is a good
ridiculous.
question. What should people look for in a trainer? Like to know if they've, a lot of people don't have access to you guys, or they're all over the country. They have a trainer. Like, how do you know if a trainer is good or bad?
Well, you want to interview the trainer. I actually wrote an article on this. I'll have to send it to you guys. Maybe you can post it. It's how to vet a trainer out, what questions to ask, what the answers
Great.
are. The most important thing is to ask a trainer how they can help you. Ask them, what is it that you're going to do for me? Let them educate you and see if they can. Ask them if they know the muscles in the shoulder. I can tell you half the trainers I talk to don't even know the muscles of the rotator cuff. If you don't know the muscles of the rotator cuff, you got to go. I'm not even, listen, sometimes people don't memorize stuff. I say to the trainer, oh, what's the function of the infraspinatus? They might forget or whatever, but at least they heard it before. I don't have a problem. But then I have trainers who know infraspinatus, they look at me, what's that? What do you mean, what's that? You don't know what, really? Did you take any, did you read your test?
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but the sad truth is most gyms hire the best salespeople, not the best trainers, because it's all about money. I mean, I've had clients that come in, the trainer never even evaluated them. They never even did a movement screening. How do you know how to train somebody if you don't know how they move? You don't know their strengths, their weaknesses. You know, what are you addressing? You don't even know what you're doing. You're just going in and doing a bunch of reps, a bunch of workouts to try to get paid. And that's what this industry is. I mean, it attracts a lot of fools. So I can't tell you the interviews I've had. I got to interview 30 trainers before I hire one. It's ridiculous.
How did you and Steve meet?
Through my old partner, Justin. He friends with
My best friend's cousin is his old partner, and so they linked us up, and I started working at the gym, and it was just kind of like, all right, let's get this ball rolling, and then someone mentioned to me, hey, go for massage. I need someone I can trust, that I know will do a good job. I said, okay, 2 weeks later, did massage therapy school, 7 months later, graduated. 3 months after that, I took my test, and I was teaching at the school.
Wow.
And then from that point on, my education and my understanding for the body blew up, and it was just I think my value from there on out increased, right? Because now I'm teaching anatomy, now I'm teaching movement, now I'm integrating all these aspects into my life, and
right.
it just the integration is where it becomes just second nature.
Yeah.
Right? It's just the understanding is so clear.
I need you desperately in my life. I'm just going to tell you, I need a Steve massage at some point. Figure out if...
He's here.
Yeah.
Actually, we had a question about a trainer on the Jersey Shore. If you have any recommendation of a trainer on the Jersey Shore, and I was actually thinking that it might be, is there like a nationwide... Somebody just asked.
Somebody
Lives on the Jersey Shore, wants to know if they know it, but I think it's also probably a good opportunity. Like, is there a database of like approved trainers?
There really isn't.
There's not.
And that's something that I want to do, is like do like a screen process where I actually screen trainers and approve them through our company and say, hey, this is a good trainer.
Great idea.
You know, the problem is that trainers don't care, and until the public demands it and the employers demand it, it's not going to be profitable enough for me to fund it.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the problem, because I've had trainers come in, they're like, well, why would I come work here? I have to go through 6 months of education. I could go work, down the street and barely be certified. And I'm like, well, do you want a career or a job? Do you want to make money like helping people, or do you just want to go count reps down the street?
Right.
And in 10 years or 8 years, when that company's out of business, or you're with 30 other trainers who don't know what they're doing,
Sure.
you're not going to learn anything. That's the other thing. And I bring people into our business to teach. I have guys that are very high level that come in, and my trainers, as good as Steve is, as good as I am, we learn every day from guys around us. I bring in people with all different expertises so that we could all share each other's knowledge. My background, I went to sports medicine clinic, and I did a lot of heavyweight training when I was younger. And so I know a lot of rehab stuff because I've had every injury in the world. So I bring in other guys. Like, I didn't really play a lot of sports. Steve played sports. He's a certified strength and conditioning specialist. So he is the sports guy. So I have an expert in every facet of the industry, so that if somebody comes in and I don't know exactly what to do with them, I have someone to consult with.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing in our gym, and Steve will tell you. All the trainers will talk to each other. When I'm training someone, I might ask one of the other trainers, hey, what do you think about this hip movement? Get another set of eyes on this. There's no know-it-all in the gym. We don't operate like that. If that's how you are, you can't work for us.
I love that. Yeah.
So one of the questions here is, why would somebody come to you as opposed to a physical therapist that might be covered by insurance?
Well, partly because physical therapy, a lot of the times it runs out, so the insurance only covers X amount. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll pick up where the therapist leaves off. But to be honest with you, I've actually gotten a lot of clients that were injured by physical therapists because they're just an educated form of trainers sometimes. They're just as bad. I mean, I can say that because I owned a clinic that employed physical therapists, and I got so fed up that I fired all of them and just brought in chiropractors and trainers. Because I literally had a DPT, which is a doctor of physical therapy, giving my patients back pain. And I said to the woman, I said, not for nothing, you're supposed to be a doctor teaching us stuff, and you're hurting people. I'm taking them over and I'm fixing them. Why do I know more than you? That scares me. So I don't need you. So I actually nixed the entire physical therapy department. So
May I add something also? Say a lot of the times you go to physical therapy and your therapist will set you up with heat, or the aide sets you up with heat, and then the aide walks you through a predetermined, pre-made exercise regimen. I worked in a physical therapy office for years, right? Most of the time, the workout was completely made on the first
Before you
day.
even got there.
On the first day, the workout is made, and it just had every week, and you put all your reps in every week, right? And then it would have X's until week 8, and then you would do this exercise, and then X's until week 10, and you would do this exercise. There was no one-on-one physical contact, right? I'm not saying all physical therapy, right, or all physical therapists operate like this. There's factories, right, that people get stuck in, and what happens is that there's very little one-on-one. And so if you do find a physical therapist that works with you for the entire hour and is with you, that is a good physical therapist to be around. The physical therapist that, just kind of see you for 10 minutes, right, do a little myofascial work, maybe a little manipulation, and then send you on your way with a little bit of ice, it's not the place to be. And that's why we get people that come to us, right? Because we're going to sit there for the exact hour. We're going to notice something happening in your ankle that translates up to your hip, right? And we're gonna take the time to address those problems. We're not going to just put you through a protocol that we have for people with ankle problems or hip problems or shoulder problems, right? Yeah, sometimes they're a little bit altered and a little bit customized, but they're not working with you one-on-one,
Right.
We are, and that's the difference. That's where we get our business from.
What's your diet like?
My diet?
Yeah.
It's
Steve
usually
was fatter than me a couple of months ago, so he went on a diet.
Impossible.
So I recently lost 13 pounds.
13.
13. Basically, high protein, moderate fat, minimal carb.
Okay, what does that
my
look
body fat
like?
was lower than that.
Really?
So I wasn't the fattest guy in the gym for a couple of months.
Wait, what does that
So
look
I went
like?
on a diet.
What
Give
does
me
it look
breakfast,
like?
lunch, and
breakfast
dinner.
is 5 to 7 egg whites.
Just plain a plate of egg whites?
Well, and then 3 ounces of ham on the side, 4 ounces of ham on the side, 2 servings of protein. 3 hours later, I have a snack, usually any sort of protein-rich snack. Could be anything from cold cuts to grilled chicken to a bar, a Quest bar, right? Anything with low net carbs, right? I don't count dietary fiber because I really need that in my diet. Lunch is usually a salad with chicken, minimal dressing. Again, snack, and then when I go home for dinner, it's usually meats and vegetables.
I had donuts last week.
Darren wants to know if you've trained anybody famous.
Me. Oh, sorry, you mean really famous. They're
I've
not in the
worked- I've
city,
worked
so
with
they're a
famous
little
people.
outside the city.
When I owned my sports medicine clinic, we had some pro athletes. I'm not allowed to say their names, but
Right, so like, obviously,
clients, so I can't. But in my training, I mean, we have a couple of famous people that come in. There's that one woman who wrote
She wrote
the Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince. She comes in and trains.
So, my friend John Wallace played for the Knicks. I trained him. I trained his kids. Alan Houston. Train Alan Houston's
Get out of
kid.
here.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
so his kid was trained.
We designed the basketball program for Alan Houston for assessments.
Nice.
So,
Because they train up there near you.
they have the
Westchester area.
Westchester Knicks.
Yeah.
So I've had a few famous people like that. Famous people usually want to pay though.
They don't?
No, because they think they're doing you a favor by coming in. So I don't work for free.
More than famous, we get a lot of successful people in our
Very
people
successful.
that have tremendously successful car dealerships, restaurants, multiple aspects of business, software.
Well, they know it's no nonsense. They're not getting, they don't.
We get the educated consumer.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
who we
really
want.
good way of putting
You
it.
know,
That's a really good way of putting it.
that's who's coming to us because the average person doesn't know the difference until they get hurt. That's the sad truth. Most people learn after they're injured.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hopefully it's not too late. And for some people it is. Like I said, I had one client trying to pull his neck.
I got another one. A lady comes in the other day. We're looking at her move. She can't lift her arm over her head. Training for 10 years, for the past 10 years, did the same workout with her. What do you think was in that workout?
An overhead press?
An overhead press.
So you can't do it against gravity. Let's put weight
She
in it.
can't lift her arms over her head with nothing in it. And the trainer for 10 years had her lifting overhead presses. that is a prime example of what the industry provides and what we're trying to change.
Wow.
It's
crazy.
It's crazy. And the thing is, the reason I went to doing the expert witness stuff, the more lawsuits, the better off it will be, because eventually the gyms will stop and
Right.
hire trainers to know what they're doing, because the insurance companies won't insure them anymore.
Right.
That's where it's headed. The industry is going to be regulated by insurance. I believe that trainers should have to start to regulation without going through all the laws and all the nonsense. Make it easy. All trainers are required to have insurance, because when I hire you, I can look at your insurance history and see if you're a bad driver. It's that easy. Because now I had the case I had against Equinox. The trainer gave the man a stroke. He's now the head trainer of New York Sports Club.
Really?
How is that even possible?
It was a $13 million lawsuit, and he got another job.
How are you still working in the industry? That's a problem. That's a big problem, because now the next person that gets hurt, you know what? New York Sports Club, that's your fault, because you hired this fool.
Yeah.
You know, this guy gave a man a stroke. He gave him a stroke. The guy's paralyzed. And you have a job as a head trainer in New York Sports Club now. So that means you're spreading your stupidity to the people that work for you. That's where it all starts. So now there's a whole gym of trainers as dumb as that guy.
Wow.
So think about how bad that is. You know, and people are telling me you're unprofessionally angry. I am angry because I'm tired of watching people get hurt because trainers are morons, because they come into the industry because they think it's sexy and they're going to make a lot of money because they have biceps.
Right.
You know, and that's the problem with this industry. You get a lot of flakes.
But we're a long ways away from it being regulated.
Well, I think it's closer than people think because of lawsuits. And I know that because when I did my insurance forms last year, they asked who we were certified by, if it was accredited. So what will happen is the insurance companies are going to get tired of being nailed for all this money, and they're going to say, at the very least, your trainers all have to be certified by accredited agencies. And that's not even the rule now. There's trainers in big gyms that are not even certified at all. The biggest gyms, you know, it's crazy. People don't believe it. They're not even expired certifications, because at least an expired certification would say, all right, you let it go, maybe you stop working. They were never certified.
It's
And
crazy.
the customer just assumes that they're all certified.
Of course,
Of course.
you know, you walk into Equinox, you think you're getting the best trainer on earth, because that's what they sell it as, you know. And Equinox is probably the best out of all of them. When I used to work there, they had the best trainers in the industry. You know, so they have probably the least amount of bad trainers. New York Sports Club, forget it. I wouldn't even work out there. It's absolutely ridiculous.
He's nothing if not honest.
It's the truth, you know. And to be honest, it hurts my business, because when they hear me talking about them, they're not going to hire me to train their trainers.
They're probably not going to sponsor the German Wolf site.
Doesn't matter. They're going out of business anyway. New York Sports Club. So it doesn't make a difference.
There you
Not
go.
doing so well.
We should go do a workout at the arena sometime.
We should.
When
Like a real
construction's
workout.
done.
Oh yeah, where are we with? Where's the project?
It's done. We're already operating. We didn't get the permit.
So does it look different than what I saw?
Shooting range and everything.
Wow.
Everything, the gym is open, the whole studio is open again. The 2 nurses are out of there, they're in their offices.
That's a whole like 800 square
Yeah.
feet studio.
Oh, awesome.
So
Okay, well, first things first. Like, I heard you're the most insane massage therapist ever. I feel like I need to test that out.
I would love to help you out.
Okay. I don't need to do anything for free. I'm going to 100% commit to whatever it is and wherever I need to be. I'm not going to be that celebrity.
it's your friend. You don't count.
Nope.
So
If
we're friends. It's
nope.
different.
If you're going to put the work in, I will.
Listen, I work for referrals too.
Oh, easy. I wish you guys came into the city once a week. All my lazy friends.
I had a spot.
There was actually
there,
somebody
I
on
think,
here recommending that you have an app. Actually, some people are asking why you don't have more locations. They want you to have more locations. And some people want you to have an app where
Got any
you have...
investors out there?
And the app, the idea behind the app would be that the people who are in the trainer, who are listed as potential trainers, have been certified by you, so it almost becomes like
I think it's a great idea. I want to do a database where basically we screen trainers. So like they have that 1-800-DENTIST where they screen the dentist first to make sure that they're like credentialed. And so I would actually want to have multiple levels of screening. The first level would be you screened, you have a certification, you're insured, you're a human being. Second would be that you went through X amount of courses, because I have trainers at levels, and people should know like who they're getting with, because the average trainer, even the dumbest trainer on earth, can fool the average consumer, because what does the average person know about exercise?
Right.
And what should they know? You don't learn about it in school. They don't teach you anything about your body.
Right.
This is why everybody walks around with back pain, shoulder pain, and neck pain, because they don't understand how their body works. You know, you have hip pain, you're sitting all day, and then you go to the gym and you're doing sit-ups and leg raises. You're doing more of the same. You know, you're exaggerating what you're doing all day statically. Now you're doing it with weight. You know, so what do you think's going to happen? You're going to have pain. You know, and a lot of it's common sense. Once you learn anatomy, you know, that's the problem. A lot of trainers know anatomy, but they don't understand it, so they don't know understand how it applies. So I see them doing these exercises, and I'm like, how you memorize the anatomy, but you don't know anything about it, because no, that's bad. You know, just by knowing how things function, leverage.
Do you guys have a website? Can people just sort of tool around and see what you guys are about on the website?
The arenafitness.com, and then the other one is the arena.
Because what you want to do is really complicated by having two websites.
Well, it's Lance's fault. He's supposed to know the answers to this.
Lance,
I'm
your
supposed to know the
fault.
answers. I just want to make sure that I give out the right information. I'll take my time.
I did give
Because I will say that if you guys are...
TheArenaFitness.com. And I don't know what this other thing is that you're talking about.
There's the Arena Fitness.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. TheArenaFitness.com. Just remember
There you go.
that.
And if you're in New York, you guys should hop in and see these guys and see what they're about and ask them questions. And I'm telling you, I did it. It was really worth it. I am blown away by, like, I love your personality. Like, some people may say, well, that's a little abrasive for me. But you know what? All he cares about is making sure you are healthy, you are strong, and you're doing it in the safest way possible. All he cares about. He cares about that more than he cares about making money. He cares about anything. And that's what I love about it.
This is why I get upset, because a lot of the injuries I've seen were completely avoidable, just through common sense.
Yeah.
You know, and I've testified in a number of cases. Not one of them was difficult. You know, I don't get any cases where it's like, wow, like, I'm not sure this guy's really knew what he was doing. Maybe it's all blatant stupidity, like unbelievable.
You can't talk about the new one.
I got a new one. When I go to trial in this case in 2 years, we're going to talk about that. I got a juicy one, but I can't talk about it right now. But it's major. It's like a big loss.
Exciting.
Very big. So. You know, I see this kind of stuff, and it's very frustrating. You know, people getting hurt that are trying to be healthy, and the looks on their faces when they come to you, and they're like, I went to a trainer, I thought he knew what he was doing, and they have a serious injury. And I look at that, I feel so sorry for them, because you were trying to get healthy, and now you're worse off than when you started, and you paid somebody. You know, it's like, you know, they're selling snake oil. So that's why I get upset, and what I really get upset about is the other people in the industry, the gyms, they're not recognizing this, and they're the ones who could remedy this. If all gyms required their trainers to have accredited certifications, it wouldn't solve the problem completely, but it would be a great start.
Right.
You know, that's the first barrier. But on the flip side, most of the trainers I've testified against, bachelor degrees and credentialed at the wazoo. The problem is their managers don't know enough. Most of the training managers, if I'm in a gym, the training manager should be like Steve or I, so they can correct the guy with the education. Say, no, practically that doesn't make sense. But you have, like, one of the cases I did, the trainer, the manager testified, yeah, the trainer showed me how to use the machine. You're telling me you're a manager and your trainer showing you how to use the machine? Well, that's the first problem. You know, like, you know, the manager's supposed to be like the oracle. They're supposed to know everything. You know, and it's a problem. You know, you're hurting people, and that's why I get so upset. And that's why I came up with, you know, I told you about the angry trainer.
Yeah.
You know,
Charlie's got an idea for a show. Wouldn't Charlie be great going into different places as like he's like
This is
right
why
at
you're
the
messed
central
up.
casting.
Undercover?
Yeah.
Undercover, and
He's
then he just comes out.
Such
I
personality.
want to
Starts
do
getting
like
trained
Gordon
by-
Ramsay has that show where he
Yeah.
goes into the house and everybody. It's amazing. I
In
do
the
that to
restaurant.
I'll do that
Yeah.
to the gyms.
I love it. It's a good idea. You guys are awesome. So if you want to get in touch with these guys, thearenafitness.com is one way to go. But check them out, for real. I wouldn't waste time with you when it comes to fitness and stuff. This is as good as it gets. I'm not joking. That's as big as an endorsement as I can give. Really, I respect the hell out of you guys. And you know way more than you probably need to, and you love it and you embrace it, and that's the standard that you guys put forth. So thanks so much. I'm going to come see you. And
What do we got? We got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Talk about back pain.
absolutely.
So what I want to do when I come every week is maybe pick one thing to talk
Yep.
about. So today I want to talk a little bit about low back pain, because I think so many people have low back pain. So maybe talk a little bit about the causes of low back pain. So sitting too much, leaning. You know, one of the biggest things I see in the gym, people sitting and then they lean over to get their dumbbells. That is the worst thing for your back. Probably I could pick one thing in the gym, the worst thing out of an exercise is that, because you're seated and then you're leaning over. I see guys grabbing 40, 50-pound dumbbells, that's all on your spine. You know, like, it's crazy. So when you're assessing pain, and this is something that a lot of therapists don't do, I've learned, Steve learned, you want to assess the person's lifestyle. What are you doing all day? Are you sitting? Are you walking? Are you standing? Are you driving? How do you sleep at night? You want to know all these things about you, because when you're at work, you spend a lot of time in that position. When you're sleeping, you spend a lot of time in that position. If your bed's 30 years old, yeah, that's probably why your low back hurts, or one of the many reasons.
Right.
So, you know, what I tell people when they have low back pain, the first thing I want to look at is their mobility. Can they move? Are their hamstrings tight? Are their glutes tight? Are they not using their butt muscles, their glutes, to go into what's called hip extension? So when you're walking and your leg swings forward and backward, when it goes backward, your hips go into what's called extension. The glute is the largest muscle in the body. That was what is the main hip extender, and the hamstrings assist with that. What happens is when those muscles from sitting and all the postural distortions they're called, your low back will start doing the hip extension. Your erectors mainly will start doing the hip extension, and the erectors are a much smaller muscle than the glute. So what's going to happen? Common sense is if the big muscles shut off and the smaller muscles doing the job, I'm going to have pain in my low back. My low back isn't the root of the problem. The root of the problem is my tight hamstrings and the dysfunction in my hips and legs that I need to correct. So that's where stretching comes into play. Mobilizing the spine, things like cat-camel or cat-cow, they call it in yoga. Doing like stuff with the bands, like activating the glute medius, which is the muscle on the side. You know, all these things come into play when you look at low back pain. It's not just the site of pain. And that's the mistake that most providers make. They look at, oh, I got knee pain, I got back pain. Well, if you got back pain, I want to see how your knee, your hip, your foot, I want to see how all that functions, because I might see you have back pain and you're walking crooked, you're walking leaned over. So these are all things that you have to take into account. So just as an overall prescription for back pain, I mean, it's very hard to get specifics since we're on a show, but most times back pain are from tight hamstring, tight glute, tight piriformis. All you have to do is stretch. If you stretch, roll, mobilize the tissue, the hip flexor psoas, if you mobilize all those tissues, the relief that you're going to get in your back is because the muscles are no longer pulling on the bones.
Makes sense.
You know, so this is my argument with chiropractic. You go to a chiropractor, they crack your back, and they tell you they fixed everything. You didn't fix anything. You adjusted my bones, so they're going to be out of whack in 3 days, and I have to come back again. Fix the muscle dysfunction. And that's why I work with Dr. Ernesto, because he addresses the muscular dysfunction. And then he does a spinal adjustment when the muscular dysfunction is fixed. Because if you don't correct the muscular dysfunction, the spine will never stay aligned.
So what's a back spasm?
Spasms can be caused from a number of things. Spasms like a Charlie horse, I guess, or like vacillations. What would be the best way to describe it?
So you can say that when someone go to the doctor and like, oh, you have a spasm, right? It can be overstretched. It can be basically a micro tear in the tissue that scar tissue forms. But most of the time, it's the muscle that's overstretched, and we have spasms in our back because we're sitting like this. Right, and when we're sitting for an extended period of time and we're hunched over, the body's going to say, I don't like this position, I don't like this position. It's going to send a signal to tighten the muscle up. When the muscle tightens up, that's when we get that spasm. Right, so it's originating from a postural dysfunction, right? The spasm that we feel. And that can happen anywhere, right? That can happen anywhere that's overstretched for a period of time. The body says, I don't like this, right? And it's going to go into a tight, overstretched muscle.
And what do you do to relieve that?
Now, so the biggest thing, in my opinion, I think Steve will agree, the muscle that's lengthened, the opposite muscle is going to be tight.
Yeah.
So that's why it spasms to try to get the laxity out of it, but the pain comes from the muscle that opposes it is tight.
Right. Yeah.
So they're tight. So you have to stretch that muscle out to open it to actually get the other muscle to restore its function. So the best way to describe it, you describe it, Steve.
So you have the psoas, which is going to the antagonist to the erectors, right? The psoas is going to flex the vertebrae.
Yeah.
The erectors are going to extend the vertebrae.
Well, okay, so talk to me like our audience will understand. None of them will understand.
Okay,
what
so
the erectors.
the hip flexor, the psoas is going to pull us forward. The
Yes.
erectors are going to pull us back.
Perfect.
So if we're sitting like this all day, the body says,
No.
I don't like this position, sends a spasm to the back. That's not where the problem is. The problem is here. So we have to do mobilization, soft tissue mobilization, stretching. We have to open this up so that we can realign the body here, and then we can relieve the spasm in the back through soft tissue manipulation, myofascial release. Right? That's how we're going to address the problem. If you go to a therapist, right, and you say, my back hurts, middle of my back hurts, right, and they only work the middle of your back, walk away from that therapist. Because the problem is not originating from the middle of the back, the problem is originating from probably the front of the shoulders, right? Where you're sitting like this, overstretching the back muscles, and hey, signal comes in, pain, pain, pain. You start working on the shoulder, they're like, why are you working on my shoulder? Trust me, that's where the problem is.
Right.
Right? And so a lot of the times, the first time a client comes in, I'll address their pain, and only their pain, and I'll say, okay, next time you come in, I have to show you why that was happening, because it's gonna come back, right? Because most of the time I'll work on someone and they'll be like so anxious in their mind that I'm not working on the spot that is painful in the moment, and it's not that I'm ignoring it, it's that I'm addressing the surrounding tissue first
Yeah.
to then bring that tissue back into alignment.
Did I tell you? So good at what they do. So good. It's stressing me out that your second camera, Connor, is crooked.
It was bothering me before.
It's totally, and now it's covering the other one.
Lift it up, lift it up, lift it
Lift
up.
the top one up a little bit.
Good.
Yeah, it was like this.
Is the
But
hand
that's
cramping at all?
You got to invent something, Lance, to hold the two phones together.
I did.
masking tape.
No, we have the two phones together. That's not something that other people do.
Where's the invention?
The fact that they're doing it, the fact that he's holding them together is something very few people.
What do you
No.
What's the topic for next week? Did we do knees? That's a question everybody asks this week. Bad
We can
knees.
do these.
Can we next week? Can we talk about next week? Or one of you or both of you?
I can come every day now.
Yeah, so-
Then I can bring him with me every so often, or however often you want to see him.
So we can talk about one thing, right?
Yeah.
Problem with the knees is not happening with the knee. Problem with the knee happens here and here. Ankle and hip.
Okay.
Almost always.
And that's what we'll give you
For next week, like I think most people have lower back pain and knee problems.
Yeah.
So that's a really big one, or the back of the knee, the kneecap, all of
Yeah.
it. So let's talk about next week. We're going to talk about knee pain. Sorry, John. Hope we got your lower back situation all worked out.
It was actually Darren's law.
Oh, Darren. Sorry. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. Really do.
happy to be here.
So cool. Next week the sun will be out again, and we'll be back up on the rooftop. Not as deep.
That's why it's ready
Love
to
it.
stop here.
I love it.
The range room.
All right, cool.
Thanks, bro.
You good? All right, we take a little break.